and unaccompanied by police, but we do not want to hear it through Facebook or through the Oregonian calling us for an interview about how we feel about how our son was just killed by police. Because these are the ways that we find out. Or in the case of Christopher Kalanji, how the family was just lied to for 4.5 hours, that their son was fine, while actually their son was bleeding out in his bedroom. And when they got Christopher to the hospital, they were able to revive Christopher twice. He was 19 years old, quite a vibrant young man. And but they couldn't revive him a third time. He had lost too much blood. And that is police violence. that is unacceptable. That's what it really looks like. One of the stories that it really looks like from our families. This can't go on. There's no one that deserves to be killed by police. Often people ask, when I talk to them about someone who's been killed recently by police or in the past, they say, what did they do? Well, that's not how our justice system works. Our justice system isn't designed for police officers to be the judge, the jury, and the executioner within less than 30 seconds to 45 minutes in the experience of the family members of loved ones who've been killed by police here. People who are, we have two different kind of category, almost kind of two different categories of people who are killed by police in our organization. Some of them are having a mental health crisis and they need assistance, not assistance being killed by police. And some of them are suspects in a crime. And either way, we don't care whether you're having a bad day or whether you're a suspect in a crime. Police officers have no right to break their own policies and procedures, which they do on a regular basis. This has been studied by the OIR, which is an independent third-party investigator of Portland, a number of Portland cases. So they're not supposed to break their own policies and procedures, standard operating procedures, to kill community members. They're not supposed to be the jury and the judge and the executioner. People either need to be diverted safely to get the mental health care that they need, or they need to see a day in court. That is how our law works. We have courts that decide whether a suspect is a criminal. So, what did they do? I ask you, what do you have to do? What do you have to do to justify being killed by police? I don't think anything, personally, is justifiable. And if you look at the letter of the law, I think around our right to due process, I think you would come to the same conclusion. But then you look at the law, the federal laws about protecting police. There's a federal law that says that police officers only have to say that they were afraid for their lives, and then the jury, the grand jury, assembled, handpicked usually by the district attorney, can decide that the police officers were justified in killing community members. And so what has happened is that in the last 27 years, over 360 community members just in Oregon have been killed by police. And every single one of those deaths has been found justified by the district attorney. That is statistically impossible that every single one of those people needed to be killed to protect the community, to protect the safety of our community. I don't think people need to be killed at all. But if you do think that people need to be killed once in a while to protect the safety of our community, I'm telling you, 100% of the deaths at the hands of police in Oregon have been found justified in the last 27 years, not one single police officer has been punished. Not one single officer has been tried. Every time, it's found okay by the district attorney. So our message here today, we have a couple of different messages. That's one of them. The other message is that elections for the district attorney happen in May of 2020, not November. If you don't vote in May, you have lost your opportunity to vote for a district attorney because there are no runoffs. The quote primary is the quote, we're done in May of 2020. So right now we have 2 people running for district attorney. Pacific Northwest Family Circle is going to be vetting both of those people and deciding whether or not we want to endorse them. But for now, we're just really excited to actually have a democratic process around the district attorney. So the other message, the third message that I will leave you with is that, before I read our pizza fire demands, the third message is that we have a platform. It's called the DA for the People platform. It was formed around a number of different issues. One of them is police accountability and police violence. And Pacific Northwest Family Circle worked with Surge on that particular aspect of the platform. And what we're asking folks who are running for district attorney to do is to endorse this policy, endorse the policies that we have laid out in the DA for the People platform. And then maybe we'll have 2 candidates that will have endorsed this platform, and we will have built a relationship with the candidates, and when they're elected, we will want to hold them accountable. They will be one person in a rotten system. The district attorney isn't just where it starts and ends. And so if we can support them in some way in meeting the goals of that DA for the People platform, we intend to do that as well. So the Feet to Fire campaign is a national campaign, happens every month in multiple cities, multiple states around the country. It's led by Protect Our Stolen Treasures, right here, out of Detroit, Michigan. And they recognized early on, before Sean King and a bunch of other folks started to direct their attention to the district attorney, that this is where it was at in terms of getting police accountability for their loved ones. We're going to read their demands right now. So while this is loading up, I will, I'll try to remember my native land acknowledgement. We usually open our events with the native land acknowledgement. Today, we struggle for justice for our loved ones and all stolen lives. On the stolen land of the Multnomah and the Chinook people. They had traditional villages here. This land also was stewarded by a number of other tribes: the Wasco, the Wishram, the Klatskanai, the Clackamas, the Apalati, the Yakima, the Malala. I think these names sound familiar, these places sound familiar. We kept them, but we genocided 25 million people. We kept their names. That's how we started this country. We killed 25 million people and we stole their land. So to me, it's no surprise that we have arrived today to the point of state violence that we have arrived at that has caused us and families to be out here struggling for justice for our loved ones. This land was stewarded by them for 10,000 years, 50,000 generations, until colonists came. We genocided them, we killed 25 million of them, we enslaved them, we controlled their population, we continue to control their population today by forced sterilization and by ignoring the crisis of missing indigenous women across the country. The arc of violence that started this country continues today with the uncontrolled, unmitigated murder of community members by police officers. This is state-sponsored violence that's been going on for at least 400 years. We recognize that indigenous people are killed at the greatest rates by police. We recognize that Black Lives Matter. We are also a multiracial organization. Everyone is affected by police violence.
Hola, ¿qué tal amigos? ¿Cómo están? Les saluda su amiga Grisi Aguilar desde Portland, Oregón. Aquí compartiéndoles una pequeña protesta aquí en el centro de Portland frente al edificio gubernamental de la policía, que es la corte también aquí. Estas personas están protestando en contra de los abusos cometidos por la policía de Oregón, por los crímenes injustificados, por las injusticias que se han hecho en este país a través de la policía. Como ven aquí, esta persona está explicando de los asuntos cometidos en contra de toda la población. Gracias, thank you. Y aquí les muestro las personas, algunas de las personas que han fallecido injustificadamente y que ninguna policía fue arrestado por esto. Es lo que está comentando aquí la señora que está protestando. Aquí miramos a estos amigos con sus cartelones acerca de las muertes que la policía ha cometido y que han sido injustificadamente y no han sido condenados. Aquí miramos a algunas personas que fueron asesinadas por la policía.
Papers will get information before the families do. And so, again, we want to make public all reports, investigations, decisions, or charges, and keep the family informed of any interdepartmental decisions or actions that should be made public. We want prosecutors, when police kill our loved ones, we want prosecutors to take responsibility for the investigation and reports, addressing them in a timely manner. Chain of evidence and reports should be closely itemized and monitored. I'm telling you, these are reasonable requests, and they are things that our family members have not experienced. They have not experienced prosecutors taking responsibility for evidence. In fact, an independent investigation from the OIR found that that prosecutors were giving grand jury information that they didn't need to have to make a decision about whether or not police were justified in killing their loved ones, and instead we're not giving them information that was important for deciding whether or not police officers should be tried or prosecuted for killing a loved one. Over 360 community members in the last 27 years have been killed by police in Oregon, and not one police officer has ever been held accountable by our district attorneys. This is why we are standing out here in front of the district attorney's office at the courthouse talking to you about how you can vote for a better district attorney in May of 2020. Look for a candidate who is endorsing the DA for the People platform, If you are interested in voting for an accountable and transparent justice system, then come on over here and get a flyer. We're very nice people. Our feet to fire, our national feet to fire demand. Number 3, maintain equipment such as body cams and vehicle cameras. We will not accept excuses for malfunctioning equipment. So there's a lot of diverse ideas about whether or not we should funnel more money to the police for cameras. A lot of our family members feel that this is a good thing. They do want to see the police officers' activities recorded so that we can continuously monitor them. Unfortunately, the City of Portland is choosing cameras that the police officers can turn on and off at will. And so what happens, what is happening, and what has happened, let's talk about Dino case. So what is happening to community members when police do have cameras is the police, somehow the cameras are malfunctioning. So the person who pulled the trigger and killed Dino Case in Seaside, Oregon, the day that he was a little amped up and saved his neighbor from 3 rabid dogs, that day, that camera just wasn't operating just as the officer pulled the trigger. The other camera was operating, the other officer's camera was operating, and so what we were able to see is that 2 police officers rounded the corner of the gate of the community where Dino Case lived. They shouted something, he turned around. Within 12 seconds, Dino Case was on the ground, and he died that day. He was about 100 yards from the police officers. One of the things that police officers don't do is they don't give themselves cover, time, or space. These are standard operating procedures in the City of Portland, and they're violated on a regular basis by Portland police officers and other officers. So the police officers put themselves in dangerous situations. In fact, in the case of Dino Case, police officers were actually just standing out in the open. So if he did have functional guns in his hand, they didn't do anything to protect themselves. But here's the deal. They don't really have to. If they shoot fast enough and say they were afraid for their lives, then federal law protects police officers when they kill loved ones. And to date, federal law has killed all 360, has protected all 360 community members, police officers' murders. They protected the police officers who killed over 360 people in Oregon in the last 27 years. People of all races, people of all ages, people of all genders have suffered police violence in Oregon. And we know there's a lot more than 360 deaths at the hands of police officers they're not tracked by anyone.
360 muertes a manos de la policía durante los 7 años aquí en Portland, Oregón.
And that actually turns out to be a much lower number over a much
Estas personas están pidiendo justicia, que la policía sea más justa, que se investiguen los crímenes y que se castiguen a la policía por malos tratos a la ciudadanía.
The grand juries and the district attorney continue to protect 100% of the police officers who kill community members. We are all in danger. If we have a bad day, or we don't conform, or we're not the right race, then we could be killed by police officers. And our family members could be joining Pacific Northwest Family Circle. So what we say to you is, this is a public safety issue.
Este es un problema de seguridad y es importante.
And the copious mental health care that our community needs. We are here to say, don't invest in police, invest in care. Invest in care for the community and invest in care for the police.
Que inviertan en la seguridad de la comunidad. Les pide aquí esta persona en protesta a la seguridad policíaca que hay aquí en Oregón, que a veces son injustos. Han cometido alrededor de 360 muertes en los últimos 7 años aquí en Oregón. Ellos piden justicia, que sean más justos.
We need to train them differently. We need to give all of ourselves some care. That's what we're out here to advocate. And I bring this message to you from Barbara Hinderlong Elifritz, who is the wife of John Elifritz. John Elifritz was having a bad day when he was killed by 7 police officers. He was shot simultaneously by a firing squad.
Esta protesta está frente a la Corte de Justicia, de Multnomah County, del condado de Multnomah, frente al edificio de la policía.
Violated their own standard operating procedures, standing in the open, in close quarters, shooting him as quickly as possible. So Barbara, his wife and soulmate, wrote to me yesterday and said, make sure you tell people that police officers need care too. Police officers should be learning mindful meditation. They should be required to do that. Make sure you tell people that police officers need access to mental health care. We need to destigmatize mental health care for everyone. We cannot just keep killing people because they're having a bad day and we're afraid of them.
Está pidiendo que los policías también se traten a un trato mental también, para que puedan tratar a la comunidad justamente y no cometan estos asesinatos.
We are out here with the National Feet to Fire campaign. Happens once a month in multiple cities around the country, led by Protect Our Stolen Treasures.
Va a haber campañas alrededor de todo el país, en Michigan.
Create a nationwide database for police officers with a nationwide background check, including a psychological exam on all officers and a waiting period for all out-of-state hires, to ensure all reports and reviews from the former state and department have been received and reviewed. So that's a big long sentence. I'm going to break it down. Create a nationwide database. This is not a highly technical thing. We could do this with Google Sheets. And if Rod Underhill, who's going to be in office until May 2020, wants to help us get started on that, that would be awesome. District Attorney Rod Underhill, you've made a lot of mistakes. You've done a lot of things wrong. And you have lost your humanity in the process. And a way to regain your humanity is to come down here and work with us.
Habrá muchas campañas este 2020, 2020, campañas en contra de la policía alrededor de todo el país de la Unión Americana.
From New Jersey, we know whether or not that police officer has killed someone. How many people have they killed? What is the situation in which they've killed them? And not, was it justified? Because they're all justified. That's the problem. That's what makes this such a public safety issue. Right? We want to know, what have they done? A lot of people who want to commit crime, this is the truth, seriously. A lot of people who want to commit crimes become police officers. So, we have no way of even knowing if someone committed a crime and was convicted of that crime and was fired from their job in let's say New Jersey, and is coming out here to apply for a job. You know,
Hola amiguita, es una protesta en contra de la policía de aquí de Portland, Oregón, y están en el centro frente a la Corte de Justicia, frente al edificio de Corte de Justicia, protestando en contra de los oficiales de la policía, que muchas de las veces son injustos, muchas de las veces cometen crímenes injustamente y no son castigados. Estas situaciones deben de terminar. Y esto es para una campaña, están organizando una campaña en todo el país, en toda la Unión Americana, en protesta a los policías, porque se han cometido muchos crímenes injustificadamente injustos. Estamos aquí desde Portland, Oregón. Saluditos amigos por ahí. Espero estén teniendo un hermoso, feliz martes. Reportándoles desde aquí, desde Portland, Oregón, desde el centro de Portland, Oregón, su amiga Grisia Aguilar. Muchos saludos, muchas bendiciones. Que sean felices y bueno, a seguir luchando y a apoyar esas causas que son muy buenas, que nos benefician a toda la comunidad y a toda raza. No hay distinción. Eso es en contra de los abusos cometidos en contra de la policía aquí en Estados Unidos. Como sabemos, hay muchas violaciones en contra de nuestra comunidad latina también, así como en todas las razas. Bueno, yo me despido amigos, espero que también podamos apoyar estas nobles causas, porque la verdad es que son muy buenas, muy buenas. Nunca hay que quedarnos callados ante las injusticias, sean cual sea. Y bueno, yo desde aquí les mando saludos y bendiciones a todo el mundo, sean felices y nos vemos. Y gracias a toda esta hermosa gente luchadora, a todos estos guerreros, gracias a ellos podemos tener una comunidad mejor, una justicia mejor. Nos vemos, que tengan un bendecido día. Se me cuidan. Bye. Thank you so much.
I lost my son, Christopher Colon,
3 days ago.
3 years ago. The first one, yeah, it's Christopher Colon, my son.
Your son was killed by the police?
Yeah, by the police, by Clackamas County Sheriff Officer. He has a mental crisis, that's why he has been there.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's not fair. That's so sad.
Me and another mom who lost her son 4.5 months after my son by Gresham police, we decided that we need to unite people together who go the same way with us.
Yes.
And we organize Pacific Northwest Family Cycle for people who suffer and lost loved one in the hand of police.
Yes.
And now we're growing that we don't want our organization, our family get more family, but it's happening, and so now we need to fight for our remain children, for our family and for family of our community, because it's not safe to be on the street right now,
yes,
especially people of color. It's not safe in Portland, it's not safe in country. We're losing children, we're losing brother, we're losing father, we're losing sister, brother, we're losing women. The terrible things that we're losing, even women that don't care, that would stand up and educate people what's going on in the country, why we need to step up together.
Yes.
But it's not happening for our community member, because it's not easy to carry this baggage.
Yes.
And we want the community to know that we fight not only for our children that we lost, we're fighting for our community, because every time it happens like this, it goes through our hearts.
Yes.
Because we know how it's happened.
Yes.
And that's what we hear. And thank you for being here for us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can know who we are, and if you have the same problem, because we already know it's happening for years and years.
Yes,
and
true.
if you want to stand up now, it does not matter when you stand up, just stand up and come to us. Pacific Northwest Family Cycle. gmail.com, you can write us, or you can see our website, Pacific Northwest Family Cycle.org, and we can support family.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I'm so sorry for your son lost. This is a great job. You guys doing a great job, and that's true. All what you said. It's very unfair, and we need to take care of our community. a better life, because that's yes.
Community needs to be together because the power is numbers. Just remember, we are here for you, community here for us. Just, let's do it together.
Let's do it together. That's true. That's correct. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Because if bullets fly, we're all in danger. This is a public health, this is real public safety.
Como vieron aquí, amigos, a esta persona que nos acaba de decir que ella perdió un hijo. Perdió un hijo aquí en Oregón. Lo mató la policía. Él tenía problemas, un poquito de problemas mentales, y aún así la policía estuvo en el caso de quitarle la vida.
So, a police officer beats the daylights out of someone over and over again.
Y para que sus hijos, familia, hermanos estén más seguros en esta comunidad, en este estado y en todo el país. Siento mucho la muerte del hijo de esta señora. Es muy triste lo que está pasando, y hay muchas millones de familias que han pasado por lo mismo, muertes injustas, y no se les han castigado a esos policías que han actuado injustamente ante ellos. Bueno, amigos, esto ha sido todo. Reportando desde Portland, Oregón, su amiga Grisi. Hasta luego, amigos. Tengan excelente día. Bendiciones. Bye.
To be protected by federal law is say you were afraid for your life. If you're a police officer